You ever been like so exasperated with your kids or with someone, and you can tell that they are not listening to you whatsoever?
Amen.
I mean, they are off in some kind of other land. They are looking somewhere else, off into the sky, or they might, you know what they're doing is they are thinking about the next thing they're going to say in their line of argument. And so finally you get so exasperated with that, so fed up with that, that finally you say, will you listen to me? Now, I know that not everybody has done that, but I know that maybe some have done that. And then you explain your position because you want to grab their full attention. You want them to understand. Or you say, one of my favorites is when you when somebody is looking all around and you're talking to them, and they're looking everywhere except for, let's just say you're right here, and they're looking everywhere except, you know, I like to tell them their hair's on fire and see how they react. And that usually gets them, if they're not listening to me. We approach this psalm in the same way. As you know, we're in the Summer of Psalms, and this Summer of Psalms has really, really affected my life. I thought back in this, I hate to admit this even, but because I was a city boy. I was not a country boy whatsoever. Not one single bit was I. I mean, none of that. Tammy Wynette and all that stuff, my B-I-V-O-R-C-E. I just couldn't get into that stuff. And but there was a show on television called Hee Haw. Did any of you remember that?
Yeah, sure.
Remember? And there was a couple. Yeah, you guys. Yeah, you're showing your age too. And anyway, there was two guys on there, and they would get up and they would sing a little song called "Gloom, Despair, and Agony on Me." Remember that? Remember? And then they would tell a little story about how things were going, and this morning, when we approach Psalm 10, we are singing the song "Gloom and Despair and Agony on Me," because that's exactly in Psalm 10 what the psalmist was declaring, that he is in the middle of a funk that he cannot get out of. As a matter of fact, C.S. Lewis once said that Psalm 10 is exactly like somebody has turned the oven up to 500 degrees, and it has sat there for a while, and then you open the door of that oven, and it just comes rushing at you. Psalm 10 rushes at you. And listen to while I read this, and listen to what it says, and listen to the honesty, best of all. Listen to what it says. It says, "O Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide when I am in trouble? The wicked arrogantly hunt down the poor. Let them be caught in the evil they plan for others. For they brag about their evil desires. They praise the greedy and curse the Lord. The wicked are too proud to seek God. They seem to think that God is dead. Yet they succeed in everything they do. They do not see your punishment awaiting them. They sneer at all their enemies. They think nothing bad will ever happen to us, to them. We will be free of trouble forever. Their mouths are full of cursing, lies, and threats. Trouble and evil are on the tips of their tongues. They lurk in ambush and always searching for the helpless victims, like lions crouched in hiding. They wait to pounce upon the helpless like the hunters. They capture the helpless and drag them away in their nets. Their helpless victims are crushed. They fall beneath the strength of the wicked. The wicked think, God, beneath the strength of the wicked, God isn't watching us. He has closed his eyes and won't even see what we do. Arise, O Lord, punish the wicked, O God. Do not ignore the helpless. Why do the wicked get away with by despising God? They think God will never call us to account. But you see the trouble and grief they cause. You take note of it and punish them. The helpless put their trust in you. You defend the orphans. You break the arms of the wicked evil people. Go after them until the last one is destroyed. The Lord is king forever and ever. The godless nations will vanish from the land. Lord, you know the hopes of the helpless. Surely you will hear the cries and comfort of them. You will bring justice to the orphans and to the oppressed. So mere people can no longer terrify them. One of the things I like about the Psalms, and one of the things that I have gathered from them, is the honesty in which the psalmists preach or pray. And I get that out of every single one of them almost, that they stand before the Lord as honest as what they possibly can. And I've been there recently. As a matter of fact, there's a few things that I'm kind of working through, and I've even asked the Lord, it seems as if you don't hear me on this thing. It seems as if that you're not going to react in the way that I think you should. And sometimes you hear from the Lord, and sometimes you don't. And I try to get the understanding of how God is working, and yet I don't see Him working at all in some situations. Well, that's good news, isn't it? But today we want to talk to you about what the process is when we're honest before the Lord. First of all, in Psalm 10, he says to declare your questions. The second thing he says is describe your complaint. And then third, deepen your commitment to God. First of all, declare your questions. Verse 1 begins rather abruptly. Why, O Lord, do you stand far off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble? God, you may be powerful and you may be personable, but why can't I sense your presence right now? The Psalms are saturated with these kinds of questions. Here is just an example. Look at what Psalm 13 says. How long, O Lord, will you forget me? Forever? How long will you hide your face from me? Psalm 22. My God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me? So far from the words of my groaning? Psalm 42. I say to God, my rock, why have you forgotten me? Why must I go about mourning, oppressed by the enemy? Psalm 44. Awake, O Lord, why do you sleep? Rouse yourself. Do not reject us forever. Why do you hide your face and forget our misery? It is not unspiritual to declare your questions before God. It is not unspiritual. Some of you have been rocked. As a matter of fact, I appreciated what Ralph said. Some of you have been rocked by some pretty tough stuff. It might be a person very close to you has died. That's happened to us within the past year. It might be that you've lost your job. It might be that your marriage has gone south or is fractured in some kind of way. And you wonder if you'll stay together. It might be your parents' health. It might be that your children are not living like they should, or your bills are higher than your paycheck. And you have no idea how you're going to pay them. What do you do when you're faced with an avalanche of things that are happening in your life? What is it that the agony that you feel that God is playing hide and seek with you? I'd like to suggest that it's okay to declare your questions. Some of you think that Christians shouldn't question God ever. You keep up your concerns and they're all bottled up on the inside. But it is much better to ask God where He's been than it is to wear your spiritual smiles and act like everything is going all right. Let me make an observation from verse 1. The question is expressed directly to God and is amplified in the New Living Translation. It says this, O Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide when I need you the most? The implication here is he doesn't complain to anybody else. You notice how sometimes when things are going wrong in our lives and things are going hard, that we seem to complain to other people, but we don't go to the Lord. As if it's unspiritual to go to the Lord and voice your complaints, but it's completely spiritual to go ahead and voice your complaints to somebody else.
Amen.
And so he is saying, "Oh Lord, why do you stand so far away? Why do you hide your face and consider me your enemy?" We have an avenue for unloading the hidden turmoils of our hearts. We don't have to dump on our friends. We don't have to dump on our family, though sometimes that's okay. If you're wondering what's happened or why things are unfolding the way they are, ask God about it, because He can take it.
Yep.
The next thing is, I want to say this. There was once a man named Tertullian. And they had big words back then. Tertullian. I don't think we would name our kid Tertullian, would we? Did we ever consider that name? No. Okay. There was once a man named Tertullian who loved to ask questions. He had an inquiring mind. Before he became a Christian, he tried to find the meaning of life in a lot of different philosophies. And each time he kept asking why. Eventually the answers gave out. And he wandered on, a disappointed man, and then one day he met a man whose answers made sense. He didn't pretend to know everything, but he did know God. And Tertullian committed his life to Christ that very day.
Amen.
I don't have all the answers to life, and neither do you. I don't understand even all of the questions that people have in life. Neither do you. But I do know this, that if we know God, we can understand and trust and have faith in Him, the one who has the answers in life.
Amen.
The answers are not found in the answer anyway. The answers are found in a single person, and His name is Jesus Christ.
Amen.
The word question has the root word quest. We are on a quest to understand. Then don't hesitate to declare your doubts. If you don't ask, you might miss out. Ask God. You say, "God, why is this going on in my life?" Sometimes I would like to tell you that you'll get an answer, and sometimes you won't. But at least we can ask God, and we can go to Him and say, "God, what is it that you want me to understand about this thing in my life?" The second thing is, describe your complaint. This person must have went to church. After declaring your question to God, the next step is to describe your complaint. That reminds me of a Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. They're walking through the snow, and Calvin says this: "Some people complain all the time. They complain about the least little thing." He holds his head and grimaces. If something bugs them, they never let go of it. They just go on and on, long after anyone else is interested. It's just complain, complain, complain. People who gripe all the time really drive me nuts. You think they've changed the subject after a while, but they never do. They just keep griping until you start to wonder, what's wrong with this idiot? But they go on complaining and repeating what they've already said. Hobbes then rolls his eyes and said, "Maybe they're not very self-aware." To which Calvin responds, "Boy, that's another thing that gets on my nerves." When you're talking to God, don't worry about repeating what you've already said. Spell it out. Describe concerns in detail. After declaring his heartfelt question, the psalmist next lists a litany of problems that he sees. He can't understand why the poor are persecuted by the proud. In verse 2 and through 11, we find a cluster of words that are there. People that are in need, the weak, the innocent, the victim, the helpless. God has always had a special place in His heart for weak things.
Yes. Thank
As a
you.
matter of fact, I have determined a long time ago, one of the things that, I don't know where we got this, Lamont. I can't remember. It was out of some book or something. I don't know. Maybe you... I don't think you were this profound. I think you read this here somewhere. But God is attracted to weak things.
Fresh wind, fresh fall.
Actually, it was Bob that said that.
Who said that?
Bob.
Your Bob? He read it somewhere.
Probably.
Or Bob said it, but he read it from somewhere. God is attracted to weak things. We read scriptures like, be strong. But where? In the Lord.
Yes.
And the power of His might.
That's good. That's it.
In other words, be strong. I can't be strong in myself, but I can be strong in the Lord.
Amen.
I can stand on what the Lord promises, but I can't stand on my own hopes and my own dreams and my own visions. I get those directly from God, and I can be strong in those types of things. But God is attracted to weak things. God is attracted when we're down, when we're out. God is attracted to that.
Thank you, Lord.
I believe that with all my heart. God is attracted to the weak things of life. In fact, the scripture says, when I am weak, He is made strong.
Amen.
In other words, when I am down, when I am out, He is made strong. 9th grade it was, I developed always had really, I was, believe this or not, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but I was the runt of 9th grade, the runt. 4'11", 98 pounds, soaking wet. The runt. Little, bitty thing, little thing. I was the runt. And so I developed this strong hate. Hate isn't too bad of a word. For bullies. I hate bullies. They drive me crazy. There was one guy by the name of Mark, and he, every day after gym class, down in the locker room, he would pick on me, and for no reason whatsoever. No reason. I was 4'11", he was bigger than I was, and then all of a sudden, God gave me this unbelievable growth spurt. And by the time I was out of 9th grade, I was 5'8", 130 pounds.
Hey.
And so the guy that I was looking up to, I now look down on.
Hey.
And I felt good about that. And I enjoyed being the bully instead of getting bullied all the time. So the next time he came up to me and thought he would bully me, I thought I'd bully him a little bit. But I want to tell you, God hates bullies too.
Yes,
He doesn't like that. He doesn't like when we take advantage of people. And I've even seen what we would call spiritual bullies within inside of the church even.
Amen.
I've seen people say, you don't do it right. You don't like, if you do this, I'm going to make a mark in the sand. And if you cross that line I'm going to take this right straight
Yep.
straight to the board. Well, let him take it to the board.
Yep.
So here's the thing. The psalmist declares these things that are just flat out bully. Don't be a bully, okay?
Amen.
Did you hear me?
Come on,
Amen.
Maybe because we don't have the lights on or something. Don't be a bully.
Amen.
God doesn't like bullies. Don't be a bully.
Right.
Don't be one. Bully people around. Okay, so here's what he doesn't like. Here, the psalmist describes those who take advantage of others. In other words, he describes the bully in some pretty strong terms that he catalogs their sins. Here they are. First of all, they are arrogant. Have you ever known a bully that wasn't arrogant? Then they hunt down the weak. You ever watch those National Geographic shows? Those are awesome. You ever seen the cheetah? He finds some like little wimpy what do you call those? Gazelle. Yeah, the gazelle. The little gazelle that has just been born, the cheetah finds him. And who does he prey on? The wimpy little gazelle. That's what he's saying. They hunt down the weak. They're controlled by their own evil desires. They bless the greedy. They revile the Lord. They have no room for God in their life. They lead prosperous lives. They sniff at the laws of God. They think things will always go their way. They curse and lie. They ambush the innocent. They look for more victims. They crush the helpless. They think God does not see what they're doing. This passage makes me think of millions and millions of innocent people in foreign countries who go through genocide. It makes me think of individuals who have gone through abuse in their life. It makes me think of Americans who have gone through terrible things such as sexual abuse or whatever it might be, or physical abuse, or even emotional or by somebody else's voice. They have been taken advantage of. Reminds me back on September 11th when somebody ambushed us.
Yep.
And killed over 3,000 people. That was an act of cowardly bullying. It makes me think also something that we don't talk about a lot, about the millions of innocent victims that have been ambushed by abortion.
Right.
They've had no choice in that.
Right.
None whatsoever.
Right.
And yet the bullies ambushed them by abortion.
Yeah.
The bullies.
Right.
For their own sake and for their own cause. Because they want to push somebody else around. Friend, if you're going through a tough time right now, I want to declare your questions to God and then describe your complaint. What is it exactly that is bothering you, that makes you upset? Tell God about it. Write it down. Get it out. Put it into a prayer, however you have, but get it out. Third thing is, deepen your commitment to God. I love the faith progression here. Ralph mentioned it in his reading, and I didn't like ask Ralph, hey Ralph, here's something you need to talk about. But I love the faith progression that takes place in this psalm. The hurting follower begins with two bold why questions, and then spells out his complaint in specific detail. He doesn't mess around. He doesn't say, well, you know, they're kind of upsetting me, God, and I just want to tell you they're upsetting me. He doesn't say that. As a matter of fact, he, in specific details, he tells God what it is that is bothering him. And the psalmist boldly calls for intervention. Arise, Lord. Lift up your hand, O God. Do not forget the helpless. And the psalmist remembers two things about God. First, he calls God to mind God's personality. First of all, remind him of his prayer. But you, O God, do see the trouble and grief. You consider it to take it in hand. The Almighty, my friend, is not distant. He's not hiding. He's a personal God who knows our trouble. And the phrase, take it in hand, refers to God's personal involvement in each one of our lives.
Amen.
God's personality, according to the last half of this verse, we can commit ourselves to Him. He is the helper of the fatherless. He takes special interest in those who are deep need, according to. Listen to this, Psalm 34, it says this, the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and His ears are attentive to their cry. The face of the Lord is against those who do evil, to cut off the memory of them from this earth. This is very similar to the process Jeremiah went through in the book of Lamentations. Listen to what he wrote. He said, I remember my affliction and my wandering. The bitterness and the gall, I well remember them. And my soul is downcast within me. Yet this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed. For His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness, O God.
Amen. Thank you.
Jeremiah was down, but he determined not to give up his life, not to give up his faith, but he was determined to put his faith and his trust in the God that is mighty, and He is committed to each one of us.
Amen.
God hasn't given up on you guys.
Amen.
He hasn't given up on us as a congregation. He hasn't given up on us as people of God.
Amen.
He has not. Verse 16. Listen to what the psalmist focuses on, God's power. Verse 16. The Lord, you got to get this. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. The Lord is King forever and ever.
Amen.
Hallelujah. When we're whacked out by our questions and swimming in a sea of concerns and come back to God's perspective, yet this I call to mind, God sees what you're going through, and because He is King, He has the power to do something about it.
Yes.
Psalm said this, the Lord reigns. He is robed in majesty. The Lord is robed in majesty and is armed with strength. Because of His personality and because of His power, verse 17 and 18 tell us that God not only sees, but He also acts.
Amen.
In other words, He's not up there and saying, wow, Scot's going through a rough time today. Well, He'll work it out. Wow. Seems to me like the church is having a little few difficulties. You know what? Little cash in the offering plate might help. See, He doesn't just see our need.
Right.
God hears our prayers, right? God hears our prayers.
Yes, He does.
But not only does He hear our prayers and hears our cries, He acts on them.
Amen.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Listen to what it says. You hear, O Lord, the desire of the afflicted. You encourage them and you listen to their cry, defending the fatherless and the oppressed. The word hear means to give diligent attention to someone. God is leaning His ear toward us, eagerly anticipating what we're going to say. And the word desire can also refer to our longings. God understands the deep longings and the desires of agonizing aches of our deep inner resources of our soul.
Yes.
If I were to ask each one of you, which I guess I am asking each one of you, but if I were to ask each one of you and you were to reveal to me or anybody else, what is the one thing, or maybe two, or three, or for all of you guys, or for some of you guys who have a myriad of problems, maybe 10 or 20, what is the one thing that is constantly in your prayer life? Constant. There's one thing that I think about day and night, night and day, night and day, day and night, night and day. Can't help it, just do it. People say push it out of your mind. Can't push it out of my mind. It doesn't work that way. Just can't do it. Just can't do it. What is it that's constantly you carry a burden for? For some of you, it might be a lost friend. For some of you, it might be a physical ailment that somebody's going through and it's tearing you up inside. For some of you, it might be cancer of somebody. For some of you, it might be whatever it might be, but you pray constantly for this one single thing, and it seems as if you're just banging your head against the wall, and God doesn't hear you. Lord Jesus. My mouth might not speak out, but you know what my spirit cries. My mouth might not form the words, but you know what my spirit cries out on the inside of myself. I want this one thing to happen, Lord, more than life itself. And sometimes, God, I don't think you hear me. And I don't think you understand. The question of trusting you is there, Lord. I trust you. I know that you are working. I understand that you are working. I just wish you'd give me a glimmer of hope once in a while, though, that you are. I can relate to the psalmist, Lord. Because sometimes we feel bullied by the enemy, the devil. We just feel bullied by him. And we look around in the world and we see how evil people seem to prosper. And we question that, God. Then we question also why it takes you so long to answer in our world. Each one of us come with those needs, Lord, here today. I know that. I know that there are lost loved ones here today that, that must be on their mind 24/7. There are those who have family that has gone astray, and maybe that's on their mind 24/7. So not only I pray, but I know that our people here are praying. That, oh God, will you hear our cry? Will you understand our prayers? And Lord, like it says in the book of Romans, that when we can't formulate the right words to say, can't even get them out of our mouth because maybe we wept so hard, cried so hard that we can't cry anymore, can't express anymore. Will you understand the groanings and the utterings that are deep down within our soul? I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you take every person here, whether there's 100 or 500 or 5,000 that are praying right now at this very point. I don't understand how you take all of those and you understand each one of those prayers, and you understand, even if they don't pray, that you understand the desires of their heart. And God, I pray Could you prosper them and make them whole? Save us, O God, from ourselves. Thinking that we can manipulate, and we can do, and we can learn, and we can study, and we can pray, and we can do all those things, when really we need to rely on you, on your grace, and on your mercy that loves us so much. And we understand that you sent your only Son to meet our needs and to help in our challenges. So hear our cry, O God. Hear our cries. In your name we pray.